Hello, Super Bowl maniacs. The Big D is back with episode number 2 of Super Bowl week. Before I bring in Alex, please subscribe, like, and share the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page where you know what week it is. We're going for the gusto. We're going to Vegas, baby. The question is, are we gonna hit 21? Snake eyes. You can find out everything you want on the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page. Also, check out the Big D podcast for your audio gurus on Spotify and Apple. So, back better than ever, ready to discuss all things Super Bowl 58. The number one fan of Tua, hopefully winning Comeback Player of the Year, and Tyreek Hill winning Offensive Player of the Year, must be Alex.
Thank you, Dylan. Of course, my boys definitely have some competition this year. Obviously, comeback player of the year. There's a couple names that are in contention there, and offensive player of the year. I mean, it's definitely, obviously, either Tyreek Hill or Christian McCaffrey. But I'm a little nervous. I'm rooting for McCaffrey to win MVP, just so actually, offensive player of the year would probably go to Lamar then. So I don't know. Should be fun, but definitely rooting for the Finns in those. But it's a pleasure to be back as always. It's Super Bowl week. How could you not be excited? It's unfortunately a bit bittersweet because obviously with the Super Bowl coming in, that means the longest offseason in sports is quickly approaching. But it's going to be a great finale to a pretty exciting NFL season this Sunday.
By the way, Alex, I'll tell you what, Lamar did not get my MVP vote.
Did he not? Really?
Josh Allen was number one on my MVP ballot.
I thought you said Josh Tooney was your MVP. Didn't you have a lineman as your MVP this year?
I did in like week 14, but I went with a quarterback. Actually, my MVP ballot, unofficial, of course. Josh Allen 1, Matthew Stafford 2, Lamar 3, CMC 4, and CJ Stroud 5.
Stroud
it's better than everybody else's ballot. I can guarantee you that.
Stroud had a great year, but to put him over Tyreek Hill is disrespectful, though.
By the way, CJ Stroud did with a rookie head coach, rookie offensive coordinator, and he won his division. Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins didn't even win the AFC East.
Hey, it's over 1,700 yards for 2 straight seasons, first time in history.
Well, Puka had 1,500 as a rookie.
That's a good point. Who gets offensive player of the year, Puka or CJ? It's obviously got to be CJ, right?
Puka.
David,
even though I think CJ Stroud's already won it, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah, well, if Devon Achane played every game, he would have won it.
Yeah, go scoring 90-yard touchdowns.
Yeah, you would have broken Adrian Peterson's record if he played every game.
All right, well, with 57 years of Super Bowls, there have been many of great plays. There have been good plays, bad plays, and in the case of Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, safeties, and not the good kind of safeties. What's the best Super Bowl play you can remember?
Yeah, obviously there's a bunch of good ones. I think the two of us, unfortunately, neither of us can pick a play from our own team's Super Bowl experiences, just for the sake of not being alive to see them, unfortunately. But I think the next best thing for me, if it's not the Miami Dolphins winning a Super Bowl, especially from the time I grew up as a 1996 baby, the early 2000s into the 2010s were pretty much the development of my NFL fandom. And throughout that time frame, there was one constant, and it was pretty much the source of my NFL misery for my entire childhood, and that was Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. And what worse to happen to a budding NFL Miami Dolphins fan than for the Miami Dolphins' only claim to fame, realistically, throughout their entire franchise history, is, of course, the 2 Super Bowls, one of them being in 1972-73. completing the perfect season. I think everyone knows where I'm going with this. But the New England Patriots, led by Tom Brady, are playing against the New York Giants in the Super Bowl after a perfect 17-0 regular season record, looking to become the first 21-0 football team, the first undefeated team to win the Super Bowl since the 1972 Miami Dolphins, until Eli Manning throws the ball up late into the fourth quarter. David Tyree jumps in the air, puts two hands on the ball, and a helmet, brings it down, and the New York Giants break New England Patriot hearts, cause Dolphins fans all across the world to celebrate, and the New England Patriots fall to the New York Giants. The David and Goliath, part 1 of 2, which eventually a couple years later, Eli again takes the glory from Tom Brady. But just the fact of the catch itself, how ridiculous it was, just the helmet. I mean, it's the helmet catch. Everyone knows the helmet catch. But just the fact of how ridiculous that the catch was, the fact that it's in the Super Bowl, the fact that it's in the fourth quarter with the game on the line, the fact that Eli Manning should have got sacked on the play. I mean, the fact that he even was able to stay up and throw the ball downfield. I mean, he was in the grasp of some of those Patriots D linemen. I mean, it was just a ridiculous play. It was a ridiculous moment, stopping the Patriots from going undefeated. I mean, there's nothing like that play in NFL history. I mean, it should be the ball in the helmet should be the NFL logo at this point. It was so insane.
Yeah, and by the way, the helmet catch wasn't against a no-name defensive back. It was against Rodney Harrison.
Yeah. And it was not a no-name defensive lineman who was chasing after Eli. Who was it? It was like Richard Seymour or something like that, who was hunting Eli down. Some legend on
Eli Manning wasn't known as a scrambling quarterback. He somehow escaped the pocket, threw the ball. Tyree catches the ball on his helmet. And by the way, that was David Tyree's last catch in the NFL.
Yep. Very last catch of his NFL career. I mean, you can't write it better than that.
And then, of course, Eli Manning throws that beautiful fade pattern to a classical burst, and Michael Strahan famously said, 1 touchdown, 17-14. 1 touchdown, we are world champions.
Yeah. And what do you know? They got it done and broke Patriots fans' hearts, lifted Giants fans into mayhem, and Dolphins fans right there with them. I've always said the Giants, if I had to pick a second team, if the Dolphins just fell off the face of the earth, I would be a Giants fan just for that game alone. It was like the Dolphins won the Super Bowl in our house when that game ended.
Yeah, and famously the year prior, Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl. So Manning the Manning.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good 2 years in the Manning household. But Dylan, I might have stolen your pick there, but I've got a good feeling you've got a good second option. What are your thought process go? Where does your thoughts go when it comes to favorite or best Super Bowl play that you remember?
Doggone, and I knew you were going to say helmet catch. Yeah, say helmet catch.
Yeah. Sorry, bud.
Well, it seems like every Sunday somebody makes a toe tap. Well, nobody made a better toe tap catch than Santonio Holmes in Super Bowl 43. Steelers Cardinals. Actually, a great game. Probably one of the 2 or 3 best Super Bowls of all time. Back and forth. James Harrison, that crazy 100-yard pick 6 in the first half.
Yeah.
But Santonio Holmes making toe tap catch. What's with the Pittsburgh Steelers wide receivers making big plays in Super Bowls? I mean, Lynn Swan made 3 or 4 crazy plays against the Cowboys. Oh, Antoine Bleuel. Yes, the wide receiver throwing the touchdown pass to Hines Ward in Detroit.
Yeah.
But Santonio Holmes capping off the greatest day of his NFL career with a toe tap. And I'm like, I didn't even know what a toe tap was. And I'm like,
yeah. I mean, that throw just to drop. I mean, that was the only. He shouldn't have even been able to catch it in the first place, but that throw was the only place he could have put it to where he even had a chance to catch the ball. I mean, it was just, and like you said, I mean, after an absolutely incredible game, the James Harrison pick 6, where he was practically laying on the field through the halftime show because he was so exhausted after running 100 yards. I mean, it was. I remember that Super Bowl like it was yesterday. That was an amazing game. It was an amazing catch at the end of it, and it was great. One of the best Super Bowls I remember.
And if not for that play, we'd be talking about Larry Fitzgerald running by the whole Steeler defense. Defense like he did everybody that postseason. I'm like, nobody, like, Larry Fitzgerald was simply unstoppable in that playoff run for Arizona. I mean, I'm not even sure Jerry Rice was that hot. Maybe in the Super Bowl, but not for 4 games.
Right. It was unbelievable. Larry Legend, maybe. But I think I might have noticed something when you were talking, Dylan, and I got a question for you. I might have noticed something on your hand there. Did I catch a little bling? Something? What is that?
Yes, it's a ring. No, it's not a Super Bowl ring. It's a Florida Everblades ECHL championship ring from our back-to-back Kelly Cubs 22-23. I know you can't see it, but it's actually a custom ring. It's got the big D. The big D himself got my own ring with the big D in the ring. So, I'm 6'3". It's hard to get a custom ring nowadays. I wonder how Shaquille O'Neal got his own rings.
That's awesome. I'm not gonna lie, Dylan. I don't think I saw you between the blue lines or in the crease. Putting on the waffle border with the goalie pads.
No, for the Florida Everblades staff members got the chance to purchase championship rings, and I wasn't going to miss out on one of these.
Absolutely. Now that is so cool. It must have been really cool to be a part of. Obviously, the Everblades winning back-to-back Kelly Cups. One of my absolute favorite things to do back when I lived in Fort Myers was I go to I guess it's Heinz Arena now. I don't think it was always Heinz Arena, but go to Heinz Arena and watch the Solar Bears. Wednesday nights you got a $5 student admission, $1 beers. It was nothing like it.
Hey, come down to Hertz Arena. You get $3 beers on Wednesday night.
There you go. Hertz Arena. I said Heinz Arena. I meant Hertz Arena, but
Heinz Arena. You're thinking of Heinz Field or whatever.
I know we're talking about the Steelers so much already. There you go.
You're thinking of Heinz. You're thinking of Heinz Field, whatever field it is, a stadium name it is now.
Yeah, they all change them. Every stadium changes its name, and all their fans always call it as what the most popular one was.
Yeah,
I know most Dolphins fans call ours Joe Robbie. It's there's some stadium names that are never going to go away, no matter what big company is sponsoring it.
Like Lambeau Field.
Yeah, 100%. No one's ever going to call that anything different.
Or Soldier Field in Chicago, unless the Bears get a new stadium, but that's a story for another day.
Right.
So, while some players are blessed to play in multiple Super Bowls, Patrick Mahomes, others don't get a chance to play for Super Bowl or don't get a chance to play for a ring. Is there one player, and by the way, he's got to have played in the NFL for a few years. You can't say CJ Stroud because he's in diapers.
Right.
But he's got to have played a few years in the NFL. What player do you want to see on Super Bowl Sunday?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, obviously, I could pick some Dolphins players and be a little bit biased. It's a great question. I mean, I would love to see Tua Tagovailoa make it to a Super Bowl one day. I think that'd be incredible. I think one guy I would really like to see. I mean, he's been, I think, a bit underrated in years past. He's gotten close. He's made some pretty deep playoff runs, if I remember right. He might not have been on that team that I'm specifically thinking of, but just an overall good guy. He's been a great guy in the NFL. Unfortunately, had a pretty bad injury this year. I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins. I would love to see Kirk Cousins playing in the Super Bowl game. I think he's one of the most genuine NFL players out there. I mean, I don't know if you ended up watching the quarterback series on Netflix where they spotlit Patrick Mahomes, Marcus Mariota, and Kirk Cousins. And it was really insightful. You got to really look into Kirk's life and see some of the things that makes him who he is as a person and who he is as a player. And I've always been a big fan of him. And it looks like he might not be in Minnesota this offseason. I'd love to see him go to a team that's got some pieces. And I wouldn't mind seeing a Dolphins as long as he's in the NFC. I wouldn't mind going up against Kirk Cousins in a Super Bowl next year.
Well, you mentioned a quarterback. I'm going to mention somebody too, and I can't believe he hasn't played on Super Bowl Sunday because both of us have gotten a chance to watch this guy for the past 5-6 years, and I think Josh Allen on Super Bowl Sunday would be crazy. I mean, 6'5", 240, and can literally do anything. He could bowl over somebody, run by you, throw the ball over your head. Heck, if the Bills need a 47-yard field goal out here, he might be able to kick one. But Josh Allen deserves to play on Super Bowl Sunday. The great quarterbacks generally get to a Super Bowl. I mean, Dan Fouts never played in one, but Marino got to a Super Bowl. Elway played in 5. Montana, Young, Manning brothers, Brady, Mahomes, Burrow. I want to see Josh Allen play on Super Bowl Sunday. It does not feel right that Josh Allen hasn't played on the sport's biggest stage.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm gonna have mixed feelings about that. I don't want to see Buffalo anywhere near the Super Bowl, but from an objective and unbiased perspective, it's definitely something that I'm sure plenty of NFL fans would love to see. I think Josh Allen is, it's like talking about Tom Brady. I mean, I think generally speaking, he's a pretty likable guy. I think he's pretty exciting to watch. He wasn't one of our biggest rivals, so I could definitely see why you would pick Josh Allen. Definitely wouldn't be my pick. I don't want to see the Bills, as I mentioned, and they went near the Super Bowl, but I can see why some might.
And we can get a few snowbirds out of Florida for a week.
Yeah, there you go. You know who else I want to see in the Super Bowl? I'm going to stick it in the quarterback realm. I want to see Baker Mayfield get to a Super Bowl.
Shut up. Time out. Baker Mayfield's not playing the Super Bowl.
I would love to see it. I think it would be so cool. I think Baker Mayfield's going to have a career resurgence, and I don't know. I'm talking, but just I don't know, something about him. I'm rooting for Baker. I think the Browns gave up on him too early, and it's pretty crazy to me that he's had much more success than any Browns quarterback has had since he left.
Well, yeah, he ended up in the right division. Baker ended up in the right division.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so with the teams, the San Francisco 49ers, Kansas City Chiefs, rematch of Super Bowl 54, San Francisco 2-point favorite. When you think of the 49ers, I mean, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. I mean, yeah, the Niners have got a great roster with McCaffrey, Aiyuk, Debo, Kittle, Trent Williams, Bosa, Fred Warner, and defense, of course, Shanahan. Hey, where do you rank Brock Purdy quarterback-wise, and B, can Brock Purdy win a Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to start with B. Yes, Brock Purdy can absolutely win a Super Bowl. It obviously having an elite quarterback is definitely a large portion of is definitely a large part of the formula when it comes to creating a Super Bowl caliber team. But it's not necessary. Obviously, I mean, we've seen what the 49ers have done with Brock Purdy last season. They made it to the NFC Championship game. And, if he doesn't go out with that injury early in that game, who knows what would have happened last year. Obviously, the Niners actually made it this season after beating, I think America's sweetheart in the Detroit Lions. But, to say, is Brock Purdy capable of winning a Super Bowl? I mean, he's in the Super Bowl. So any quarterback who can take your team to a Super Bowl is capable of winning it. I understand, experience matters, and it absolutely does. Going up against Patrick Mahomes, it's got to be a terrifying thought at some point when it comes to Brock Purdy. I mean, that's not the guy you want to see on the other sideline. When as the the quarterback that you're going up against, that everyone's obviously going to compare you against. But he's got an absolute loaded roster. As long as he doesn't make the mistakes that we've seen him make in the past, whether it's in the Ravens game or just getting turnover happy. I mean, he has to play his football. He's got to stay calm and not be too big for the moment. But of course, Brock Purdy can absolutely win a Super Bowl. I mean, the team is good enough. The team's been good enough to get him there. And as long as they don't make any mistakes, there is the opportunity. Of course, there's 50-50 shot going in. As far as where he ranks in the standings of NFL quarterbacks, it's a tough conversation because, he's Mr. Irrelevant. He's obviously the last pick in the draft. And with that, your expectations are tempered. And I think, rankings will probably reflect that just based on the fact that, he wasn't a first round guy. He wasn't a day two guy. But he's proven within these last two seasons that he's at least capable of leading a team through the playoffs, and this season obviously leading a team to a Super Bowl. We've seen him make some ridiculous throws. I mean, I would say putting Brock Purdy anywhere near the top 5 is ridiculous. I think around the top 10 is starting to get where you're in the right range. I think maybe somewhere in the 10 to 13. He's definitely in the top half of quarterbacks. I'd say he's in the closer to the top high end of that. But he's definitely not a top 5 guy. He's definitely not a bottom 10 guy. I think he's somewhere in that middle ground. It's hard to pinpoint an exact ranking for him, but he's somewhere around the top 10, top 13, top 15 guys in the league.
I don't know if Brock Purdy can win the Super Bowl. I mean, but then again, there have been lesser quarterbacks who've won Super Bowls. I mean, Brock Purdy doesn't necessarily have to win it. I mean, if Christian McCaffrey runs for 150 yards, if Debo catches 8 balls for 150 or runs 15 times for 80 yards, nobody will care. But Brock Purdy can't lose the Super Bowl. He can't throw 4 picks against the Ravens. He can't have the mistakes against Green Bay and San Francisco, because if you look at San Francisco's 2 playoff games, I think the Niners are lucky to win both of them. And Purdy did not play well for a large chunk against the Packers and against the Lions. And you know what neither of those defenses possess? Great defenses.
Yeah.
Kansas City might be young, but that Chiefs defense, top 2-3 defense in the league. I mean, look at what the Chiefs did to Lamar Jackson. And by the way, both of our teams struggled with Lamar. I mean, the Chiefs are low. The Legarius team might be the best cornerback in football right now.
Right.
Sorry, Sauce Gardner. Sorry, Patrick Surtain Jr. Sorry, Jalen Ramsey. The best cornerback may reside in Kansas City.
Yeah. And that's not a hot take. I mean, we've seen him go up against the league's best, and the majority of the time he comes out on top.
1 touchdown.
Yep. That's all you got to say.
And it might have been Josh Allen's best throw of the year.
Yeah. So I mean, you make, and that's the exact thing is, can Brock Purdy win a Super Bowl? Yeah. I mean, he's gotten to this point. There's so many pieces. There's so many elements that can go in his favor. It's a great offensive game plan that they've been building. But can he lose the game? As you mentioned, absolutely. It's something that you've got that Brock Purdy has to be 100% zoned in on and focused on. You have to take the opportunities when they present themselves, but you cannot reach. You cannot gamble unless the situation calls.
Vegas, baby.
There you go. It always ties back.
And being quarterback-wise, I mean, I think Brock Purdy's in the 12 to 15, 16 rankings. I mean, they're all 10, 12, 10, 11 quarterbacks better than Purdy talent-wise right now. I mean, going off the top of my head, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Herbert, Lamar, Trevor, Stroud, Golf. I know I'm missing somebody. Tua. Wait, on my list. Stafford, thank you. That was the one. I think those 10, you could argue too. I think Purdy's in that 12 to 15 range.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're pretty much right aligned there. We don't agree too often, Dylan, so it's nice to hear that we're on the same page there.
That can't be good, right?
Yeah, right. Someone's got to be messing that up. But we've been obviously talking about Brock Purdy and the 49ers, but I'm curious about your thoughts on Kansas City. Obviously, we know the Kansas City Chiefs. We know Patrick Mahomes. We know Andy Reid. We know Travis Kelce. But it's definitely a new look team. Obviously there's some people who have been contributing this season. The Rashid Rices, the Isaiah Pacheco's that we haven't necessarily seen be the centerpieces of previous Kansas City teams and the faces that we're typically used to seeing. I want to see I want to hear what are your thoughts when it comes to Kansas City coming into this game. Obviously, beating the 1 seed Ravens, it's got to be a very exciting victory for them to move on to, and a game that some people were doubting Patrick Mahomes in. And what do you think their thought process is going into this game, and what do you see from the Kansas City Chiefs sideline?
Honestly, I see a lot of what New England did in the 2000s, but of course, this is a different era. I mean, Bill Belichick won because he was the best defensive coach ever.
Yeah.
Tom Brady won because he's the GOAT.
Yeah.
And what I see with Kansas City similar, but they all have differences. I think Bill Belichick's a little stuck in his ways, a little stubborn. We've seen Kansas City evolve this year. Like Andy Reid does not run the ball that much, and yet the Chiefs ran the ball, unlike Baltimore, unlike a few teams, run the ball with Pacheco. And then Kansas City, I mean, everybody said Travis Kelce was lost. Travis Kelce was old. That performance against Baltimore was one of the great performances of his career. 11 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. I'm like, yeah, Travis Kelce's like fine wine. He's like Gronk 2.0. And then Mahomes, I mean, it's not just having zero turnovers in 3 playoff games, but I don't think Mahomes has even made a mistake. There's not been one throw I said, holy cow, that ball should be picked. You could say that about Purdy every other 3 or 4 times. Like Mahomes not throwing a turnover play. So efficient. I mean, not putting up a lot of yards, but taking what the defense is giving. If it involves running, if it involves finding. I mean, that play to Kelce where Mahomes is like dipsy do and finds Kelce. I'm like, I don't know if anybody could make that throw.
Yeah, it's Magic Mahomes. I mean, it's the stuff we've been seeing for years, and it's gotten to a point where you have to expect the unexpected. You have to expect the craziness because he's going to pull it out exactly when you think it's not going to happen. That's when it's going to happen. We see it time and time again, and like you said, I mean, I think every quarterback that we saw in the playoffs have had some moments where it's like, what is he doing with that ball? Who is he looking at? Like, what is that throw? And then you see Mahomes, and it's like the guy can run and be flying like Superman flying across the field and still somehow sidearm slinging it on a dime to his receiver. It's just like, it doesn't matter if you tie an arm behind his back and make him jump rope while he's throwing the football, he's still going to put that ball exactly where he's going. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I mean, the plays that are dead are never dead if it's 15 hold the ball. It's ridiculous.
And you think back to the last Super Bowl, 3rd and 15 down 10, Mahomes finds Tyreek Hill for a big first down, and then all of a sudden the Chiefs scored what, 20-something points faster than Taylor Swift could write up a relationship song.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I wonder what the over/under is on cuts to Taylor Swift during the Super Bowl. I might have to. There's some and that's another thing, man. Especially in Vegas, like these Super Bowl props are always fun. They're seeing the odds on what color the Gatorade bath is going to be, or the over under on minutes and seconds of the national anthem, or how many jets are going to fly over, are going to be a part of the flyover. I mean, they come up with the darndest things with these prop bets for the Super Bowl, and that's another thing I'm really excited for, just to kind of see what these bookies can come up with, especially being in Vegas.
Well, I mean, in Vegas, you know what the old saying is. What happens in Vegas?
Stays in Vegas. I thought you were going to say the house always wins.
No.
Not too.
You've been to Vegas?
No. I can't afford Vegas. let me save up some.
The $2.5 million Super Bowl suite.
No, I'm hearing Donna Kelsey might not even get a $2.5 million Super Bowl suite. It might just be that might be a false rumor, but y'all better put Mama Kelsey up nice.
Put Mama Kelsey and Jason Kelsey topless.
Oh jeez. You know he'll be there.
So obviously, I mean, Vegas hosting a Super Bowl for the first time. We've seen events in Vegas. Obviously, the Vegas Golden Knights won Lord Stanley's Cup this past June. We've seen other events. I mean, seemingly, how do you feel of Vegas hosting the Super Bowl?
I think it'll be good. The thing about it's going to be interesting. Vegas is obviously a party city. It's obviously an area where, there's a lot to do. So I think people who are going, it's interesting because as far as a host city, I'm sure, California is right there. It's a decent area, like geographically. Obviously, the weather. It's an indoor stadium, so it doesn't, weather doesn't matter. But either way, the weather would be nice, open air or not. I think as far as fans traveling, it's going to be a great time. I mean, you've already spent enough money, and if you're rich enough to go to the Super Bowl this year, because I know it's some of the most expensive tickets that they've had in Super Bowl history. If you're rich enough to go to the Super Bowl this year, you're rich enough to hang out in Vegas for a couple of days too. So, I think it'll be a good spot. I don't know if I would want Vegas consistently taking the Super Bowl just for the fact that, it is a party city, and Miami is very similar in the sense where, the nightlife is crazy, and, people are definitely going to be having a good time. But, I know that, I don't know. It's kind of give or take for me. The stadium's great. I think what the Raiders did, with that stadium is beautiful, and it's going to be, great scenery for the game. But, the city itself, I don't think it's going to be anything too remarkable, but, we'll see.
I'll tell you this. I think Vegas is actually going to be one of the Super Bowl hosts going forward. I think you will see Super Bowls in 6 or 7 different areas. I think you'll see Super Bowls in SoFi, even though I think the stadiums are dumb.
Yeah.
I think you'll see Super Bowls in the Bay Area. I think you'll see Super Bowls in New Orleans. Talk about a party city. Miami, Vegas, New Orleans.
Yeah.
I think you'll see Super Bowls in Miami, and we know why. I think you'll see Super Bowls in Tampa. I've got to think AT&T Stadium will be getting a Super Bowl before long.
Yep.
And then, who knows? Maybe Houston, although not sure. Maybe Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta getting a World Cup semifinal, but not in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think the thing too is at this point, I feel like it should be, because the problem I'm seeing is that yes, say we get to a point where we're pretty much recycling the same host cities pretty consistently. I almost feel like we should have regions, like it should rotate regions,
the last 3 Super Bowls, if you count Vegas, all on the West Coast. I mean,
right. What I'm saying is when it comes to SoFi versus Santa Clara versus Vegas, it's all the same area. You're going to get the same general people. I mean, I think maybe one year you have a West Coast one where either Vegas or Santa Clara or LA get it. Then you move it to the South Central part of the country at AT&T, and you move it to the Southeast Coast. I mean, come down to Miami. Then you move it. I mean, the problem with that is that the northern states, are going to get a little screwed there when it comes to February weather.
I will say this. Based on the atmosphere this year, I wouldn't be surprised if Ford Field got another Super Bowl.
And see, there you go. There's options. I mean, I think Detroit would be a great home for a Super Bowl. We know the fans are passionate, and we saw it on their playoff run this year.
By the way, I'm not sure if this city will get a Super Bowl, but if Nashville, Tennessee ever build an indoor facility, there's not a better honky-tonkin' party town than Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
You could hear the Big D honky-tonkin' not just for a week, but a month before that game.
You want a Nashville Super Bowl, huh, Dylan?
Hell yes.
Speaking of environments and stadiums and, being contenders for Super Bowls, this is going to be coincidental and very ironic based on recent news. But I really, really think the NFL dropped the ball with MetLife Stadium. Obviously, this is coming off the heels of the announcement that MetLife is going to be host of the World Cup final. But within those regulations, FIFA has mandated that all World Cup fields will be played on natural grass. So they will be implementing natural grass, into that stadium for that game. But the fact that the closest stadium to New York City, pretty much, the world's hub vision of America, is arguably the worst stadium in the National Football League, whether it be the turf, whether it be the fact that two teams play there, whether the fact that it's actually in New Jersey and not New York. I really feel like if they would have built a stadium similar to AT&T or similar to Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta, that was really like or Allegiant in Vegas, if they would build a stadium in New York that is actually like a tourist attraction, that is unique, that has that indoor access, that has that visual appeal. Like I said, an AT&T, a Mercedes, an Allegiant. If you build something like that in New York, that will automatically become such a huge hub when it comes to any international event, whether it's the World Cup, whether it's the Olympics or Super Bowls or World Series or whatever. I mean, there are. Whatever it is, I really think MetLife Stadium, the NFL or whatever, dropped the ball when it comes to that stadium. I mean, we've seen the injuries that we've had from it this year. It's disappointing when you really think about New York.
And plus, what will happen when inevitably there's a weather delay in a World Cup final due to the lightning?
Exactly. You don't want to see that. These people are paying so much money for this, and it's such a huge event, and it's just the fact that it's New York, and that's the best New York has to offer. I mean, you think about the NBA. What's the basketball arena in New York? It's Madison Square Garden. It's one of the most famous basketball arenas in the country. That New York's doing basketball right. It blows my mind how big the NFL dropped the ball when it came to New York. When it came to the market, having two teams in the same stadium, having the best team obviously you can't predict this, but the best team in the state and the only team in the state plays in upstate. It's just, I really feel like marketing wise around New York City, the NFL could do so much better.
Well, I mean, it's not my job to have host World Cup finals. I would have hosted at my house, but unfortunately, I didn't get a vote.
Right. Was hoping that'd be in Miami. Miami got a game, but I was hoping that'd be.
Miami got a Copa final this summer.
That's true. Miami does have the Copa final. That I gotta look into tickets for that because that's gonna be fun.
Let me tell you, I tried looking into the 2016 Copa. You're gonna be taking on a second mortgage.
Not worth it.
You're gonna be taking on a second mortgage at Hard Rock, buddy. I looked into tickets for Real Madrid Barcelona at Hard Rock. Ye?
Yeah. I did go see Real Madrid, Manchester United on the preseason tour at Hard Rock a couple years back. That was a good time.
Was that pre or post Ronaldo?
Post Real Madrid Ronaldo, pre Man United return Ronaldo.
I didn't think you were going to have me on MetLife Stadium. By the way, thank goodness the weather wasn't an issue for the MetLife Super Bowl, but maybe Peyton Manning center and snapped the ball 20 feet over his head for safety.
Right.
Might have been an omen for the. Well, we do have enough time for one more. Do you have one prop that you really like for the Super Bowl in Vegas?
You talking about like a random prop or like an actual like NFL stat line prop?
NFL prop.
I mean, give me all the Isaiah Pacheco. I think he's been an absolute workhorse for the Kansas City Chiefs. So if we're talking gambling NFL, I mean, Pacheco is the guy I'm most confident in when I'm looking to any props. Give me his rushing yards over. I think is a great bet. I think I last saw him. He's typically hovers around the 66 yards. I don't honestly. I haven't looked at it. I'm not sure what his line is, but I think in the last game he was right around 66 and a half, somewhere around there. Give me Pacheco rushing yards over. And then I'm a big fan of anytime touchdowns. I think Rashee Rice gets a lot of attention from Mahomes when it comes to red zone targets. I think if you're looking for an anytime touchdown play, Rashee Rice is probably going to be at decent odds. It's tough with Christian McCaffrey. Honestly, 2+ touchdowns for Christian McCaffrey. You're not going to make any money if you're betting 1+ touchdown on McCaffrey, but honestly, the 2+ hits more than some people think. And, he is the go-to guy in the red zone when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers. So I would say anytime touchdown, Rashee Rice is something I'm happy with. 2+ touchdowns, Christian McCaffrey, you can probably get decent odds. And Isaiah Pacheco over rushing yards are some props that I'm a big fan of.
I've got a Russian prop, but it's not who you're thinking of. It's a San Francisco playmaker, but it's not Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
Who do you think I'm suggesting?
It's got to be Debo's rushing yards.
Yes, over under 16.5. I think you could get it on some low numbers, but on the DraftKings Sportsbook it is over under 16.5. If you think back to the Super Bowl in Miami, Debo ran for 53 yards, including a 31-yard run. I think in this Super Bowl, San Francisco may very well have two guys run the ball. One being Christian McCaffrey, the other one being Debo Samuel. Debo Samuel's as big as a house. Debo Samuel's big enough to be a running back. And in this game, Debo will be close to not 100% coming off the shoulder injury. He looked fine against Detroit. And what better way to cause confusion? If Christian McCaffrey needs a rest, guess what? Don't put Elijah Mitchell in the game. Let Debo Samuel run the ball.
Right. And speaking of creative plays for the San Francisco 49ers, I got one more prop. I'm not sure exactly where you can get it. I believe FanDuel is offering this. I don't think you can get it at every book. It's a little tough being in Florida. We don't have too many options, but I have seen that I believe at FanDuel for -150, you can get Kyle Juszczyk over 0.5 receptions. I would hammer that over. I think obviously the Chiefs defense when it comes to stopping receivers is elite. Kyle Shanahan is going to get creative. It's things that we've seen. And Juszczyk has caught one or more passes in the last 4 weeks. You know that Shanahan likes to go to him. It's a bit of a diversion play. And I think in the Super Bowl, they're going to be pulling out all the stops to beat Kansas City. If you can get Kyle Juszczyk for over 0.5 receptions, one or more catches, I think -50 is plenty of fair odds for that.
He is on the DraftKings Sportsbook. I think it's -160. Maybe put in like a parlay.
Yeah, you can throw them in there and at least juice up a bet there if you're looking for something else.
or you get the alternative line for a couple of them.
True. I mean, I don't know if I trust him any more than 2 catches, but
I trust you check more than Jawan James.
that's true. But if you can get him at 1 catch for -160, I think that's a great add to any parlay. Or I mean, if you want to play it straight, you can. You're not going to do much off of it, but I definitely think it's a nice little parlay booster.
Although we can make bets on the Super Bowl with the Hard Rock out here in Florida.
Yeah, Hard Rock has treated me well over the last pretty much since it's been legalized.
So wait, how much are you going to add to the $23+ billion that will be bet on the Super Bowl?
It's a great question, Dylan. I haven't made any moves yet. I've had some nice little plays over the last couple of weeks. Taking a bit of a break. I'll definitely fire some stuff up for the Super Bowl. I haven't locked anything in yet. I'm still looking at some lines and seeing what we've got moving, but there'll definitely be a couple plays that'll come out. Might have to throw some money on the orange, not on the orange, but on the Gatorade color.
What kind of bet is that?
It's a fun one, you know.
That sounds like a lose-lose, if you ask me.
Honestly, this is very true. If you can find a book that has an over/under on Reba McEntire for the national anthem, if you can find her anything under 1:30, I think she's had a couple national anthems. The books probably know about this by now. I saw this a couple days ago, but a lot of people were hammering any under for Reba's national anthem for less than anything under 1:30, I think. So I think she averages out to like 118 or 122. But it's definitely a prop that's out there. It was bettable last year, I know. And I think, there's been some research done there. And under on the Reba McEntire national anthem, over on the number of planes, over 4.5 for the flyover. And give me the over on Kyle Juszczyk receptions. Let me throw that into a parlay and see what we can do.
Yeah, Reba. Yeah. So when the lights go out in Georgia again, you're gonna know where Kyle Juszczyk's significant other is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And she's probably gonna be making someone a really cool jacket on top of it.
Oh no, probably won't be hanging out with Brittany Mahomes.
Probably not this weekend, at least. But Dylan, I think we've talked about everything except one thing.
What?
I gotta know. It's the only thing we haven't talked about on this show. Who got to win the Super Bowl?
Wait a minute. We've got one more thing to discuss.
Oh, I jumped the gun. I apologize.
Wait, may I? False start on the offense, number 13, 5 yards, replay the down.
Fair.
The first penalty of Super Bowl week.
Yeah, I'll take it. So what am I missing?
It starts with T.
Trivia. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna skip over the theatrics. I have a trivia question for Dylan. He'll probably get it right because he gets every trivia question right, but I'm gonna ask him anyway. Obviously it's Super Bowl related. I couldn't pick something too easy. This might be too easy, but we'll see. There are 5 teams. 5 teams in Super Bowl history, NFL history, who have one total Super Bowl championship. Who are those 5 teams?
The Los Angeles Rams.
According to my information, they combined the LA and St. Louis.
Okay. 5 teams with
one total.
The New York Football Jets.
That is one of them.
The New Orleans Saints.
That's another one.
The Seattle Seahawks.
You got 3 of the 5.
The Philadelphia Eagles.
One more. According to my calculations. Your brain's a computer.
Huh?
Your brain's a computer.
No, but it can't. No, it can't be that. 16.
One more.
No, it can't be. No, it can't. No, it can't be that team because they've won 2.
Let's make sure research to make sure.
How far back do I have to go?
Before I was born. What year were you born in?
92.
Before you were born. But that should be a hint that I had to ask.
Oh, who are the Chicago Bears?
There you go. You nailed it. The Philadelphia Eagles, the Seattle Seahawks, the New York Jets, the New Orleans Saints, and the Chicago Bears all have one total Super Bowl championship. Good job, Dylan. Took you a little bit, but you got there.
I'm like, it couldn't have been all the other teams in the 70s or 80s because all of them won more than one. All those teams won more than one Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay, now you can ask me one more question.
All right, Dylan. My last question for you. We've talked about it all. Excuse me. We've talked about prop bets. We've talked about championship games. We didn't talk about the Pro Bowl, but no one needs to talk about the Pro Bowl. I want to know San Francisco 49ers, Kansas City Chiefs. Dylan, who's winning the Super Bowl?
The Kansas City Chiefs are going back-to-back, 22-15. Give me the best quarterback, best coach, best tight end, top 2 or 3 defense. Experience matters. I think the Kansas City Chiefs win the game, and Travis Kelce is the Super Bowl MVP in Vegas.
Nice. It's a great pick. I'm right there with you. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to pull this out. I was last for championship weekend. I went chalk. One of those games turned out for me. The one that didn't is betting against Patrick Mahomes, and I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah, that's been a dumb idea.
It sure has been, and we're going to lock in the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. You said 22-15. I think it's a little bit more than a one-possession game. I'm going to go 28-17. The Kansas City Chiefs, 28-17. MVP. I'm going to go Isaiah Pacheco. He's going to have 2 rushing touchdowns. 2 rushing touchdowns for Pacheco, MVP. 100 plus, 129 yards, 2 touchdowns, including the winner. Isaiah Pacheco is your NFL MVP. The Kansas City Chiefs are back-to-back Super Bowl champions.
Well, Damon Williams got 100 plus yards when these teams met in Miami.
I know, and Damian Williams should have won the NFL MVP or the Super Bowl MVP. He was robbed.
Well, yeah, we know why quarterbacks win Super Bowl MVPs unless you got the coolest name in the NFL, Cooper Kupp.
That's true.
All right, homie. So thanks for finally hopping on, breaking down Super Bowl 58 with me. Sooner or later, we're gonna have to switch from 5 to 6. I mean, that's this. My brain's working overtime figuring out all the 57 Super Bowls.
Yeah, it's it's like I said at the top of the podcast. It's bittersweet. It's been a great football season. It's gonna be sad to watch it come to an end, but we should have a great game this weekend, and hopefully one of our teams are gonna be playing in it next year.